welcome to another episode of We Talk a Lot Season 2, where Bhomesh and I are going to be discussing different cases and matters we have worked on. And yeah, let's see what both of us have in store for today.
Yeah.
Bhomesh, you want
So
to go
today,
first?
yeah, I would, because I have a rather interesting case today to share. The case is of immoral trafficking. So
Okay.
let's get right into it. Uh, so the case starts in 2016. There's a girl called Dimple who lives in Uttar Pradesh, in some village in Uttar Pradesh. What happens is one evening she was playing in her courtyard and in the ground around, and she goes to hide behind a tree. Now, when she goes to hide behind a tree, there are two people who come and put chloroform and kidnap her. Now, these two people take her to their own house and they ill-treat her, they beat her up, etc., for 2-3 days. Now, after these 2-3 days, they take her to this one person called Fulan Devi in UP itself. And along with Fulan Devi was her son, Mohit. Now, what they did is they kept this little girl, Dimple, who was at that time just 16 years old. They kept her there and they ill-treated her and made her do a lot of chores and etc. Now, what they did after 15-20 days is that they sold her to another man called Sunny, who also lived in UP. They sold her for 80,000 rupees. Once this was done, this Sunny took her home and he raped her and he ill-treated her and he hit her and beat her up. And then they got married. Of course, it was a forceful marriage. They got married. Then they had a child, a little daughter. Now, what happens is the child must be around 1 year old. And during that time, Sunny was out of town, I guess. And Mohit, who's that Fulan Devi's son, comes and visits her at her place. And he tells Dimple, saying that I know what you're going through and I feel really bad, but I have come here to rescue you. I know that Sunny is out of town. That's why I've come here. And I promise that I will rescue you. Now, what he plans is that he tells her to go on a particular day to the station and he books her a ticket for Vapi. And he says that once you go to Vapi, two of my people will come, take you to your parents' home. And one fine day, early in the morning, she leaves the daughter at home and she flees. She goes to the train station and she has the ticket with her and she goes to Vapi. Now, Vapi in Gujarat. Now, once she reaches Vapi, what happens is two people come and pick her up from Vapi. Their names are Rubina and Arbaz. Now, they pick her up from Vapi and take her to Daman. Now, what happens in Daman is that this entire thing was a plot by Mohit to make sure that she's taken from UP to Daman and put her into prostitution. And in Daman, along with Arbaz and Rubina, was one more called Mumtaz Devi. Mumtaz Devi is Fulan Devi's daughter and Mohit's sister. So this is like a family business. So these
They
three
sold her in Vapi again.
No, they didn't sell her. They didn't sell her in Vapi. They took her from UP to Vapi. They kidnapped her again. They kidnapped her and abducted her again for the purpose of prostitution and bring her to Daman. Now, what happens is
all this while?
She must be around 17. That was another dispute, like whether she's minor, major. So she's around 17, 18. Okay. She's still not major, not minor. That's a disputed question. And then she's got to Daman. Now, what happens in Daman is that she is sent for prostitution services almost every day, obviously without mention against her wishes. Now, what happens is one Jetha Bhai, who is a hotel owner in Daman. Now, he is an owner of a small-time hotel, and a lot of prostitution business takes place in that hotel. Now, what happened is he also engaged her services 1 or 2 times. And also, this Arbaz and Rubina used to bring clients to his hotel, and they used to, send this Dimple as an escort to those clients. Now, it's unsure whether Jethabhai knew about this entire business or racket, but assuming that he knows, let's go ahead with the story. So this Daman business went on for a good 6 months. Okay. After 6 months, what happens is Arbaz and Rubina send her for business to Ahmedabad. They had one client call in Ahmedabad, so they sent her to Ahmedabad. Now, one good thing which happened with her in Ahmedabad was that she was sent alone. And she took advantage of that. Once she reached
she with her
Ahmedabad.
daughter?
No, daughter,
Her
she left
daughter?
in UP with the father. She fled without her daughter. She fled without her daughter. Yeah. So then she goes to Ahmedabad. In Ahmedabad, she takes some phone call from somewhere and calls her father. Tells her father, ki please give the phone to my sister. The sister talks to her, and then she sends them WhatsApp images of what she's going through and what is around her and what's happening with her. And then the sister immediately goes to Daman police station, because the sister used to stay in Daman. Immediately goes to Daman police station and registers a complaint. And once the complaint is registered, the Daman police immediately came, rescued her, and gave her a home, gave her to her sister, and then they went back home, etc. Whatever happened thereafter, and then kept arresting each one of them, one after the other. However, the first Phulan Devi and her son Mohit were absconding for over a year. They were, in fact, very recently captured, like about a month back. And Jethabhai who's the hotelier. He was arrested during the first lockdown in 2020 someday. He applied for bail before the Daman court, and it got rejected for reasons being serious offense, grave offense, etc.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, Sunny, who was arrested, was released on bail.
Sunny is the UP guy,
who purchased her for 80,000 rupees. He was granted
but
bail.
He got bail in UP?
No, he got bail in Daman, because the case is in Daman, right? So he has to apply for bail in Daman.
Yeah.
So he got bail in Daman for the reason being he has to take care of a 2-year-old child. So that's why we need to let him out, because there's no one else to take care of the child. And similarly, even for Mumtaz Devi, who was the daughter of
Phulan
Devi, she was also granted bail, saying that she was a breastfeeding mother at that point. So on those grounds, she was granted bail. And Arbaz and Rubina, who used to take her around in Daman for businesses, they were also granted bail. They were granted bail on the ground that nothing could establish the entire business. Hence, they were granted bail on that ground. The only person who was not granted bail was my client. And his role,
when he came to you?
Yeah, so his bail got rejected, and that's when he came to us. His role basically was that he was a hotel owner, and that he engaged in the services of the escort, or rather prostitution. And then he came to us to High Court, and his bail is still pending. We filed a bail application. But what happens, interestingly, is while this bail application was pending, there were further charge sheets filed, and all of them who were released were arrested again, because what they did was they were threatening this poor girl. They were threatening this poor girl to take back her statements, to take back the case and give weak evidence in trial.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of threat from all, and a fresh FIR was registered for threatening a witness and threatening a victim. And after that, all of them were arrested again. So now the status is that all of them are behind bars. All of them are behind bars. And the bail application of my client is still pending. So I don't want to divulge any more information with respect to what his role was and what we are trying to argue in court. But this is basically the story, and I thought it's really interesting. There is no Crime Patrol episode made on this, but there should definitely be one. It's like a movie. It's like a proper thriller movie with twists and turns.
It's like unbelievable. Like you can't, you think it's fiction. Like you're saying it's a movie,
Yeah.
and we
And
say
it's
it
so
like
true. It
we're
is
saying
true. Like, yeah,
it's happening right now. It happened. It's
yeah,
crazy
yeah.
and
It was one of the most interesting cases I've ever
pretty
worked on.
intense.
So it's worth
Yeah.
sharing with our audience.
Now, I have a question. What was she doing in Uttar Pradesh in
She's
2016?
from Uttar
If
Pradesh.
she's from,
Like her parents
oh,
are
so
from
her
Uttar
sister's
Pradesh.
in
She was a
Daman.
kid. Sister is in Daman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, got it. And they had no idea where the daughter is for 2 years or whatever time she
No,
was
and
away.
that's the most interesting part. They had no idea, but there was no police complaint by any of the parents for or missing
Yeah,
complaint. There was no missing complaint.
that's what I'm wondering. Like,
So that
bro,
gives
like the
rise to a
daughter is
larger
missing.
conspiracy. I mean, it's a larger conspiracy. Like one can never tell. Of course, it's not a part of the papers, but it
Yeah,
comes to think that why wouldn't the parents register
yeah,
a
for two
missing complaint
years.
for 2 years? Not for 2 years, in fact, for 3.5, 4 years.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
the
highly impossible to believe, and it cannot be like said that the parents didn't know about it. What if they were involved? Like, I mean, these are not in the case papers. This is just what I thought when I read the papers, that it's quite likely that the parents knew what was happening. And I don't know. I mean, it's an open ending. It's like a
no, but
cliffhanger.
also no. One thing you can take into account is that the police administration is different in all states. It's changes from city to city. Like something even half of this would be immediately registered in Mumbai, like in under by the Mumbai police. But in some other state, it might not be registered because of the society and the background of the case, maybe.
Maybe
So
whatever
maybe
the
they had
reasons may
tried.
be, whatever the reasons may
Yeah,
be. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
but yeah,
So
best of luck
after
to
the
your client.
best of luck to her and to her. Yeah. I mean, I feel
Yeah,
bad for
no,
her, but
I don't even want to
yeah.
say anything. I don't want to say anything about her because it's just devastating. But
Yeah.
yeah. After on this note, we must change the topic now.
Yeah. And we must
And
get in something lighter. So what do you have for us, Akshay, today?
I have nothing on that, nothing light. But I have something regarding a sexual offense only. Although it's the not a criminal angle to it. It's the non-criminal angle to a sexual harassment case. So the story goes like this: that there's one Mr. Ayush, and Ayush is working in a multinational company or the biggest corporates in the world. Okay, and like 1,000 employees. He was in the Mumbai branch or whatever it is, Mumbai office, and good guy. He's like a graduate from one of the topmost universities in India. Okay, he's an MBA. He's done everything. He's done his engineering also from a great institution, and he is married. Okay, he's a married guy. He's maybe at the most 4 to 5 years older to us, and very settled guy, good job, everything's good. And what happens is that there was a group of friends, obviously, in the company. So they're like, let's chill one day, and they decide to go to a bar to chill. Abhi usme there were the few other boys, and there's one Neeta. Okay, so Neeta is really young. She's just graduated and she has joined this company. And Neeta is say 22, 23. Okay, just out of college, and she's chilling with Ayush and the friends. And Ayush and Nita don't really know each other that well. They are acquaintances in office. They must be chilling because in the group people are talking. So that's all. They really don't know anything about each other. And what happens is that it was raining very heavily that day, so everyone had left. Leaving the party early, but Ayush had to travel very far, and he was waiting for a friend of his to go to
Hmm.
that place to go back home. So he decided to wait back, and Neeta also said, I'm ready to chill. So slowly the group kept on reducing in size. People started leaving. And what happened was, who remained was Ayush, Neeta, and Ayush's friend who came there. Now, Ayush and Neeta were obviously kind of hitting it off or getting friendly, getting to know each other. And there was alcohol involved in this scene. So everyone was pretty inebriated, not in the not sober, you can say.
Hmm.
So when Ayush's friend decides to leave, because Ayush and Neeta are chilling, and Ayush's friend decides to leave. Now, uh, Ayush tells Neeta, I'll drop you home. So they book an Uber. He drops her home. And then Neeta invites Ayush upstairs to her place when they reach her under her building. Now, this guy is a married guy, but for some odd reason, Ayush says, "Okay, I'll come up. Let's chill." They end up chilling, and there was another friend as a roommate and everything. So then they end up chilling in her room, and there was nobody else except both of them. Nobody knows that they entered the building except both of them. And what happens is, I think they got a little close. That's still something which I don't know about, but they got a little close, completely consensual. Okay, nothing really happened. They just got close. They almost kissed, but then maybe, I don't know, this Ayush must have had this epiphany, like, okay, I'm doing something wrong, so he decides to leave, and he leaves. Neeta goes to bed. Ayush has no idea. 3 days later, Ayush gets a call from HR in this company, one of the biggest companies, okay? And his reputation online, he's graduated from one of the biggest universities. He's going to reach places, this guy. He gets a call from HR saying, you are put on administrative leave. So he's like, why? What happened? So then he's like, there's a complaint of sexual harassment filed against you. Now, that's why I said there's no criminal angle, because there's no police complaint. But for the viewers, what you'll need to know is that there's a Prevention of Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act. And as per this act, if any sexual harassment, if someone undergoes sexual harassment, if someone faces sexual harassment at their workplace, they can complain to their seniors, and then they must set up a committee, like a tribunal.
Check out season 1, episode 5.
Yes, season 1, episode 5 totally deals with this act. But yeah, so there's this committee which is formed, and great promotion tactic. So there's this committee which is formed, and they decide whether there's an offense made out and what should be the consequence of such a crime being committed at the workplace. And it's basically to protect women from any sort of sexual conduct against them and being victims of any sexual harassment. So yeah, so basically, long story short is that this guy gets a sexual harassment complaint filed against him, and he's put on administrative leave. Now he has to reveal everything to his family and tell them, and he has no idea. 2 days later, he gets a copy of the complaint. Now, in the complaint, this young girl, 22-year-old Neeta, has made allegations of all kinds of devious acts allegedly done by Ayush on her. And the problem was there was no witness. They both everyone knows that they were together. Everyone knows that they were drinking. And so a lot of presumptions and conclusions and conjectures has led into this. Now, he has no idea why this girl has done it, because they didn't really know each other. And maybe he did something to make her feel uncomfortable, but definitely did not do anything which falls in a definition of the act. Okay, because everything was consensual. Secondly, it happened at a place which was not at the workplace. It happened after work, where they both went with consent to a party, and then they went to her house. So there's no workplace involved. The only relation was that they worked at the same place. And on the basis of this, they filed a complaint. So there are a lot of defenses which I helped him to set up before the committee. But the society is such, and the situation is such around that time, especially. This is prior to the lockdown, when this whole Me Too movement was going on, that everyone's very sensitive towards the woman's case. And the committee held him to be guilty of all of these acts, which were very improbable, because, like, some of the allegations which were made, they were impossible to be done by one person, while like in a row. Like, I cannot explain what he did, but like there were like allegations of undressing, and at the same time him undressing, and it was impossible for one person to do it all in a span of 5 minutes, whatever the allegations were. So even though that was the case, even though he put up all of these things, and he told that this committee should not hear it because there was no workplace involved, they held him guilty, and there were going to be consequences. There's a procedure under the act. But that matter is settled. I don't want to speak more about it. But yeah, this is what happened, and it's quite it's really, I don't know the right adjective to be used, but this act can be misused, and someone who with such a good reputation and such a good future in his hands, he had like a bright future in his hands, everything just went downhill.
No, I guess
his marriage.
I guess like what you said, like if for sure this wouldn't be maintainable under the POSH Act, but this could very well could have been a criminal complaint as well, because consent is something which has to be proven during trial. I mean, and in the beginning, if a woman alleges that it was not by her consent, then her word is taken as gospel, and that's how the case proceeds. A criminal complaint would definitely be maintainable in the facts of what you narrated right now. Posh Act, I guess. But yeah, and
a
also
departmental inquiry, like that's what my problem. The problem with is holding a departmental inquiry and questioning his work on the basis of these allegations was a little harsh, according to me. And also putting him on leave, like it wasn't even proven. Before it was proven, also he was already put on leave. So it was already presumed that they want to like basically get one guilty charge as per their posh rules. I don't know what sense it made, honestly, why to put him on leave and everything. That is not as per the procedure also. And
but I guess he got.
Funnily, she did not file a criminal complaint. She did not. She did not file a criminal complaint. I don't know if she was pressurized into making this complaint also, because she actually did not even come afterwards to give her statement. So what was the logic? I don't get it. But they still held the inquiry.
So yeah, I guess that brings us to the end of this episode now. Please do like, share, and subscribe, and write in the comments below what you think should happen and should have happened in either of the cases. And if you all have any other insights to share, please do comment below. And we've also come up with the same episode on audio on Spotify and Apple Podcast. So please subscribe there as well.
Please follow us on Spotify. We need your support, and we got really good reviews for the Spotify audio podcast. So we're hoping we can continue it.
So
and
you can listen to us. You can listen to us even while driving or doing household chores or whatever it is.
Everywhere. We are on the go now.
Okay, that's it from us, guys. Bye.